Zoop. Hello there, Michael. I am just getting things started up. All right, I just adjusted the volume of that music. Can you hear it? Is it loud? Is it all right? Is it overpowering? Just gonna get out of studio mode, and I don't need to see OBS now. Oop. Close some windows so I can get to some prepping. How the heck are you, man? We haven't really chatted much lately. What with you being busy and me being sick. Let me check Twitch. Nice thing is I can just turn off my mic when I have to hack up part of a lung from the COVID. The COVID! I'm going to start a new map here, create a new map. This is going to be a battle map for an upcoming adventure. Square, should I make it square? I almost never make them square, I always make them landscape for some reason. If I make it square, then I can make it... I think square will be okay for this first one. Alright, let's see what all the RPG sounds like. See what we sound like. It's probably going to give me an advertisement. Gotta pay the bills, right? Turn it down a little. Right there. Oh, you can almost see it in the background. It's just kind of like hanging out like, what? But that's not really what I'm prepping. Today I'm prepping something else here. Yeah, that music sounds all right. Maybe just hush it up a little bit. All right, cool. All right, so I have to make some maps. I can't tell anybody what it's for because the players might walk in and be like, oh, that map is for our game. And I would be like, nuh-uh. oh. Every time I go live, the phone blows up with messages, doesn't it? Oh, it's Rory. Hello, Rory. Game. Oh, it doesn't run the game. We're talking about squadrons later. Tuesday. All right, good for him. He's going to have a new rig on Tuesday. So that he can put that together and play some squadrons with us, the rest of us. All right, so I'm in Inkarnate. We have a pro account because we saw the value of doing that some time ago. And if you saw earlier in the stream how many maps I have, dozens of maps made now for various things, both for things that we have published as 2OG and for things that are just for, streaming on the stream and whatnot. Alright, I'm just going to add... I just need to make some land, so I'm just going to paint everything this color. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to subtract some here, because I want to make a coast. There's like a promontory in this scene. It's going to be like that, I think. Yeah, see how it automatically makes the border of the land versus the border of the land versus the not. Because then when I go to paint later, you go to the background layer and you open up open up, and then you can pick like what you want. So we'll use this cool water, and it won't paint the land. See, it just paints what I subtracted. And that's really the valuable reason to do that first step, I guess, is because you can just paint at the line. And then like later, if I go back here and I subtract some more land, it's kind of already painted because I just painted over it. You see I missed a spot like right there. I'll zoom in. You can see I didn't go far enough when I was painting earlier. Just filling the whole thing. So there it is. All right. And all right, so now I want to go to the foreground because I want to paint on the land, not on the water. And I need a dirt track. There's all kinds of crazy textures that you can use. I don't like these because they're too busy for outside. Let's see what this looks like. I just need a thin track. It's just like a footpath. Kind of comes out to this promontory and then goes back that way. I don't really like that texture. It's too, I don't know, busy. I guess I'll try this one. I use this one a lot. The only thing I don't really like about it as the dirt track is like the lines go in the wrong direction sometimes. All right, so and then I kind of made it smaller because I want this offshoot that goes to the promontory to be like really less traveled. You know, like the maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this. Oops, let's do that. We're gonna wipe that out. Now we're gonna go back to this this thing here. Like people are avoiding going to that, but then every once in a while somebody walks that way, or somebody infrequently is walking that way, and so there's that hint of a path. Now it's pretty far out right now. I'm going to zoom in so we can get a better look. I'm going to just cover that up. That was too strong. Okay, so so just by tapping, I found that it'll make like the hint of a path. You know, like it's kind of overgrown. Yeah, sort of like that. So this one is definitely like people are walking on it regularly over here. Definitely walking on it over there. But then this other one here is like not so much. Whatever reason that is going to become apparent as soon as I make the structure that's going to go out on that promontory, and then everyone will say, "Oh, it's this," and I'll say, "Maybe." Let's see. I want to see now. This one's broken. And it's not really broken. It's still inhabited. I think I'm gonna go with a more. I don't like that style. This is my problem. I'm always like, no, it's got to be this exact style that I want. Now that I look at that one, then this might be the one really. Nope, don't like that. Ooh, that's pretty fancy. I kind of like this one. Let's see how this looks. Oh, it looks huge is what it looks. So then you can just drop it and shrink it and rotate it. Right, and then like the path, his tower. Oops, I said the word. Oh, we kind of knew, didn't we, by this time? All right, kind of goes like right up to the edge of the promontory there. Has an opening, which is where that somewhat trodden path, that overgrown path, leads to every once in a while. Now I want to put a roof on it, much like putting a bird on it. It's an important step. Let's see if I like this one. I kind of do. I kind of like that scaled sort of thing. I want to make it a little bigger. You still want to see hints of the tower beneath, right? And then I think, which way do I want the shadows to come? Let's see, if we think north, south, east, west. So the shadows should be on the top, on either the northwest or the northeast, depending on what time of day I want to make it. I'm going to make it a little later in the afternoon, so that the shadowy part right here is on the north, leaning towards the east side the promontory. As a matter of fact, this is something Joseph Goodman told me that I had to do with all my maps when we were publishing, is I need a compass rose. I'm going to put it, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it way up there. Alright, so you can go into the stamps, and they have a bunch of compass roses. You can actually just type compass, and it'll show up. If I had everything, compass is usually further along. Instead of you don't really put them on the battle maps, and I'm in the battle map thing. So, which one do I like? I kind of like this one. Yeah, I'll just use this one. All right, so I'm going to put it up there in the corner, right there, because I don't really plan on putting anything up there. And then you can just drop a text box there that says N, so you know where north is on it, which generally, you know, in map making it's usually up, but that's not always true. I have made some maps that that did not have north to the direct top of the map. And then it kind of changed its color. I think I want it to be that closer to that brown. I think I got to go towards orange there. Oh, that's pretty close. Let's see how that looks if I click on something else. Yeah, I like that. It's not like overpowering or anything. And then I suppose what I could do is I could drop the opacity a little bit on it. It and the compass, as a matter of fact. Where's the this one? Maybe drop it to like 65. Can you see that in the? Oh, I chopped it too hard. Hold on. Yeah, that one. I need to just bump it up a little. Oh, I gotta get it all the way up to there. Okay, I'll drop it down here. And then I think I can just put it way in the background, can't I? It'll be underneath everything. Yeah, there we go. So I can just shrink it just a wee bit, and then it fits perfectly. Okay, so there's a really cool thing in Inkarnate that reminds me that I should save stuff, because I've now got 88 changes, and I have not saved it yet. And I mean, it tells you what style you're in. Okay, so I like where this is headed. I'm probably going to keep this map, and that's usually when I do my first save. Save. Tower. Promontory. Tower. I like to give names that I know what it's for, but aren't, like, you know, ridiculously over descriptive, because no one's going to see it but me, probably. Unless I die and somebody has to take over my my Inkarnate account and be like, what are all these maps for? At that point, it's too late. I'm dead. Who cares? That's an idea. This bookshelf is dying. I really wish bookshelves were sturdier than they are, because putting all these hundreds of massive books on them. Oh, I like that. Now you can see it. You can see all kinds of other stacks of books. I should just flip through there. I'm going to use some other books in that stack later anyway, when I start filling out this map. Okay, so I'm looking at the wrong screen. Okay, this. All right, I like where this is going, but it's boring, right? It's boring. I don't like this whatever this is texture. It looks like jungle weeds to me. Not really in a jungle sort of area. In fact, the promontory is supposed to be rocky. So I'm gonna find a rocky kind of. Oh yeah, let's try this one. Close that and close that. Let's move this over here. I want to make sure I can see what's going on there. Where did OBS go? All right, we can still see everything. Yeah, now we can see everything. Okay. All right. And I'm just gonna run this lava rock thing, kind of like get some rocks over here. And it doesn't really change the background per se, but what it allows me to do is I now know where I had an idea where I want to like change the texture, and there was like a dark. You can just flip these all on and off, and then it gives you like all the patterns, and sometimes some of the patterns are better. Yeah, see, I like these wasteland blacks and browns. I always liked them as kind of a background, but I think I'm gonna go with what is that, an ocean texture? What's this? Snow. Ooh, snow. We might put some snow down. I used that snow texture once already, and I really liked how it kind of worked. Yeah, let's try this one. Okay, so I want to see, it's going to erase those rocks, and I knew it would. Notice I can just whatever, and it won't do that water. Like I said, that was an important thing. In fact, I want this whole area to be stony, gravelly, whatever, rocky. Like plants don't want to grow where that tower is. I'm going to zoom in here now so we can see the tower better, so I can keep doing a little bit of the thing I always, not always, but I often have problems with is like, how do you make a organic sort of border, right? And where's it going to go? Is it going to go like over there? Are there going to be like rocks that... It has this, Inkarnate has this shape edge, and you can make it really small, and then it's really tiny, jagged, or you can make it really big, and then it makes things like this. So you can see the knobs right here. You can see these knobs that it kind of makes automatically at this random edge. Now I jacked it up to 17 from 8, and you can see that the edges are really big, right? So if I go down to like 4, which sounds ridiculously small in the grand scheme of things, it's not. You're looking at 31 for a size overall, right? So then, oops. So then, nope, not another compass. So now when I draw this, you'll see these really small kind of things. Now I have to try to figure out in my head, like, what happens that, oh, I know. Why does no, doesn't make any sense, right? There's grass and stuff over here, and there's no grass or stuff over there. Why is that? I've just decided that it's because of the salt wind that comes off. So now the whole edge of the coast, right, is too salty. Too salty for stuff to grow. Let's see, so if waves are coming and splashing, we're gonna make this a little more jagged here. Right? Like some stuff is managing to grow. I might put some brown grass in there, I guess. I don't know. But when you zoom in, you can see it looks a little better. All right. Now that snow, remember I talked about that snow? Let's see, this stuff. Nope, that's too hard. There, you can Control Z to undo, which is really nice. That's not the snow I want. I want this snow. What's that other one? Snow 1 and snow 2. Okay, so what if I make it really big and I just put it on the... it's close. I'm trying to go for like a salt crusted edge of the like, you know, the waves are crashing up on this promontory. Oh yeah, we're gonna make that part right there's gonna be really salt crusted. Yeah, it kind of works. It works. It looks like salt encrusted, but now it's got this edge that I don't like. So I'm gonna go back to this other one. I gotta shrink it down a little. There we go. That looks a little more natural, right? Just cut that out a little. Oops. I don't like that straight line there. Give that snow back. Just make a lot of snow here, and then just cut over it again. Kind of looks like salt crusted. So now, because I have that hard line, so I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit, and then I'm gonna drop the opacity to 0.8, 80%, as it were, and then, oops, that was the wrong one again. 80%, and then, yeah, so it's gonna like fade out a little, right? So, as a matter of fact, yeah, okay, and then I'm gonna drop it down to 60%. I'm gonna do the same thing. And then I'm going to drop it down to, oops, what happened there? Why didn't it? I got to undo all that. For some reason, it didn't go down to 0.6. 0.6. Okay, now. Yeah, see, now it looks a little faded. And then I'm going to do a 0.4. I was just pick some range. 0.2. Nope. 0.2. Oh, I keep missing the window. There we go. All right. You can see it's like barely doing anything, but it roughs up that. Right? It roughs up that. So you see it kind of roughs up that gray a little bit, but not so much. And I can even have it spray over onto that grass a bit, but I'm gonna reconfigure that grass probably anyway. But yeah, if you click on this, it shows you like what the edge is going to look like. Like if it's going to be these big knobs, or is it going to be like these little things. So 4, I really like 4, and right around like 9, and I feel like those two give like a pretty good natural sort of natural edge to things. 0.4. And then 0.2. There. All right. So, all right, it's starting to look a little better. I still do not like that grass texture. Before I get any further, I better fix it, or it's going to be really hard to fix later. As is, I'm going to have to figure out how to make that edge. I do like this one. Oh, this one's nice. Now this one I haven't used before. This says grass mixed. So I'm going to make it, I might have to remake part of this path. But, we'll put it, set it at 0.5, and we'll see how it looks. Yeah, that's not bad.
Through December 8th, you can earn 4 times the fuel points on gift cards for holiday shopping.
This problem with working with the really large. See, and then I can just reshape this. Well, I like this pattern way more. Just reshape that path when I'm done. You can always just close those. The thing about when it's when you have a transparency set, like the more you click on something, obviously, the more it's gonna. So have like this out here. Yes, I've made a lot of changes. Thank you, Inkarnate. So I'm going to do that, and then because it's telling me to save, I'm just going to save it, because I did just make a whole bunch of changes. I kind of like the way the snow turned out to look like salt encrusted. Like if the waves have been splashing up and then the water evaporates and the salt crystals stay. We're gonna do a little more work on that, I think. There's some other things I can drop there that will look like salt crystals and stuff. Okay, I gotta zoom in and do this this part here. So I gotta make it really small here. Do this little island. Get this edge here. Right? Okay, and then just do this edge right along here. Wow, this edge right here too. See, I should have done this first, obviously, right? That's what I get for not knowing what I'm working with when I didn't know how it was gonna look. I just kind of had an idea. That's all right. That's part of the creative process, I guess. I don't know. There. That's not bad. We'll just clear that a little. I'm gonna have to widen this path up here, or shrink it, make it a little more. Yeah, it's not bad. And then go back down here and just, oh, that's too harsh. Let's say like a 0.25, like a quarter opacity. Because I can always click on something a couple times. Just want to get rid of those leaves. Make this path look a little over. You know, like someone's been walking on it, but again, not super often. There we go. Might widen that path again. What was I using for that? Oh, it's way up here. It's this one. Oh, and then I'm going to raise the opacity to 1. We'll get this nice hard line here. Again, like people are trying to avoid that tower, but they have to go by either way, right? And then someone has been walking. Oh, hey, what's going on? Just doing some map prep in Inkarnate Pro for one of the games that I've got. COVID knocked me down, and I feel like I'm so far behind in stuff. I'm not really. I mean, I just ran the game on Wednesday and everything was fine. So what we have here in Inkarnate is this promontory tower that one of the groups are eventually going to end up at. And travel's sometimes kind of boring, so I always like to have something interesting going on. Yeah, getting ill does slow everything down. So I've got this coastal promontory and this tower on it, and they're kind of headed for the tower, and this trade road that goes by, that's like people go near the tower because they're not afraid of it, but you know, they'd rather not if they could, so it just kind of follows the coast and then skips that promontory of the road. But there's this little bit of path that somebody has been walking to and from. And then I didn't want the grass to just go straight to the edge, so what I decided was that waves are crashing up on the rocky coast, and then the water evaporates and it leaves this salt crust behind. Right, they're like, oh hey, DMs don't put a building out there for no reason. They're headed for this tower. They know it's there. They've been told it's there, so they're actually headed for it. So I took the snow texture. There's a couple of them in Inkarnate Pro. I took this snow texture and I kind of dotted it along so that there's like more salt on the coast, and then it's been spraying inward, and that sort of killed the plants. And so the grass doesn't go all the way to the edge now. Now I'm thinking I'm gonna find some kind of like brown grass. What if I just type in grass? What's it give me? Oh yeah, see? Here, and then I can like put a brown, nope, that's too hard. Maybe 25% opacity. Put like a brown edge to it, like the grass that's been getting, yeah, I like that. The grass that's been getting sprayed every once in a while with the salt is not doing so well. I really like Inkarnate because it's super fast. Like, I have Campaign Cartographer and that whole pack of stuff, and it's just it's so much to wrap my brain around sometimes. I like to just come in here and be like, oh, I need a map with this. And the way that they set it up is brilliant, because you just come in and you drag paintbrushes around till you get something that you sort of like, you know. I have used Photoshop for a lot of maps as well, and this is easier. This is way easier. I'll show you some of the tools. We'll talk about some of the tools here. I just want to fade out this. I'm gonna make it 10% transparency. Substances used is hosting. Thanks, subs. Thanks there, Dion. All right, and then I'm just gonna dot this along to make there be like that little brown shadow. How are you, Dion? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in and for hosting. I believe that was right. Okay, so this is why I prefer Inkarnate Pro over Photoshop. I love Photoshop. I use it for tons of stuff. But let me save this map, and then I'll start a new map, and I'll show you why this is superior to Photoshop. I am upright, yeah. You can hear him a little like from the COVID still. But hey, I'm waking up by 11:30 every day right now. It'd probably help if I went to sleep a little earlier, but I've always been a kind of night person. All right, so I'm going to leave this map. You can see a whole bunch of other stuff that I've made. This was my... I'll show you this one. This was the Can I Use Inkarnate, and is it easier to use than other stuff experiment that I did. So I made Winterfell, right? And it took me a long time to sort everything out, but when you zoom in, you can see like what level of detail I was able to get to. Now I just this was the very first map I ever made in Inkarnate, and I based it off of a map that I found. I think it's the intro to Game of Thrones map, without all the cool gears and stuff. And so you can see I have like their Holy Grove over here, and the towers, and I feel like Winterfell was mashed together over time, and so there was a couple different styles going on. Like maybe this wooden tower here in the center was part of the original fortification. They slowly started building out, and it went through several periods until it became, we really need to have this massive wall and gate and tower structure. And so there's square towers, and there's round towers, and there's these weird green towers, and then there's this like wooden top tower and some wooden stairs and stuff. And so this was like how easy is it for me to make a map in Inkarnate? So I used the reference image that I had, and I tried to replicate the reference image as much as I could, using basic Inkarnate. We did not have an account at the time. Right, it's got like a boom, like, oh, you know, as the House of Stark rose in power, they had more ability to grow Winterfell, yada yada. So yeah, so there's like multiple types of architecture over time. Different builders come in, different generations of the family, things like that. So I took the reference image and I made it into this, and this took me a couple hours. If I just go to highlight all the things when I'm dragging it, look how many different pieces I put into it. You can just see like how many little white boxes there are around things. Some of them you only see, like here's a really good example, is this house right here, this building right here. You don't even see it really, it's this big, but then you just layer it front to back, like, you know. Thanks. So I thought it came out really well, so I was like, okay, cool. It's gonna yell at me like, oh, you have unsaved. Yeah. So I was like, all right, we're gonna do that. And then, now these are just all maps that I made. Oh, This is a really good example of I took a map from a Kobold Press adventure because it was old and in black and white. I mean, it's just an old school style. It's an OSR style of map. But I was using this adventure for a couple different kids groups at the time. And so, this is the third adventure in what was the starting adventure? It was really well done. It still has impact on some of the other games I'm running, because it kicked off a bunch of groups. Let's see. I have to go to desktop, works in progress, RPG, works in progress. Where are you? Here. All right, and that Kobold Press series was Foul Play. I think it was Warlock 33 it starts in. Let me see what it says here in the PDF. Foul Play for 4 PCs of first level. A 5e Warlock adventure. So their Warlock world is like a kind of darker fantasy sort of thing. Okay. So Foul Play goes into the second adventure, which was... I was just in the proper folder. Okay, D&D stuff. Let's see here, 5e. It's all really... The whole series was really, I thought, was really well put together. I added a couple things here and there, like you do, and then D&D 5e, Kobold Press. Yeah, so Foul Play is 33. Birds of a Feather was 34. Warlock Adventure 34, I believe. That's the second one in the series. And then Rumble in the Hen House was the culmination of the trilogy. And so I think I can pull this map in real quick. Oh, no, wait. Rumble in the Hen House is 2. Birds of the Feather is the last one. So Birds of the Feather is... Come on, open up. Yeah, Birds of the Feather is the culmination of the adventure. And it had this map in it where you were going to spend a lot of time as players. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Can I remake it in color? And so I might even still have the brush, because when you import things, they become stamps. So you can import your own images. As you can see, I have a couple images here, and I'll show you what I'm doing with those. So I'm just going to upload. Oh wait, I just copied it to the clipboard here. Still need paint every once in a while. I love paint; it's great. All right, this is good enough. Okay, save to. So, because it's so easy to pull images out of PDFs, and almost everything I have right now has a PDF with it, that what I end up doing is just dragging the image. Like if I have the reference image of what I didn't do this with Winterfell. With Winterfell, I looked at it, and then tried to recreate it. This one, you can do this. Save the stamp. Yeah, sure. So now I can... Ooh, where'd you go? Okay. So now if I stamp this, you can see what the original... I can almost match it up. Right? You can see what the original map was. Right about... Oh, that's a little too big. Okay, and then what I can do is I can put the opacity on it. So you can see what the original looked like versus my map, right? And so instead of just having this black and white version, I was able to, I actually did this. I threw it into, just like this, I threw it into Inkarnate, and then I started building the edge, and then I got rid of it because I could just look at the image for some of the interior stuff. And you can see it's like a little off in scale. Like this wall is a little off from where all these doors and everything, but for the most part it's pretty close to what the original map looked like. You just sometimes gotta, you know, finagle stuff to make it look good. So then it looks like this, and then I was able to put far more detail in. And again, if I just grab, you can see how many objects are actually in the map. But it's really easy to work with, really super easy to work with. And so that was when I was like, yeah, let's buy a pro account, because it's not that much. Here's one of those other things that I was talking about. So I have this, they, Inkarnate every month or so, I think, has like a map making contest, like what can you make with our stuff. And so one of them was a temple, and I needed a temple for something anyway. So you can see that there's this temple image right here, right? And so I just laid it down, and then I tried to basically recreate it in... So that's what the map looks like, yeah? So then I can fade it out, and you can see like the map I was working on based on that one. And I think that's a really easy way to go if you have a map to work from. Super simple to then recreate the map in a more modern look. This one I never finished. I was just fooling around with it. And then the other one, which I made and I don't really have, I'm not sure what I was going to do with it yet. It's called Fellmire Prison. And this is one of those, if you're familiar, prisons had a panopticon phase where there was a central tower, and then the prisoners were in spokes, so that at any one point the guard might be looking at them. They didn't know, because they couldn't see up in the tower all the time. So the idea was that with constant supervision, the prisoners would be less likely to misbehave. So in this one, I turned it into a fantasy panopticon where there's holding cells in each of the spokes, and then there's this raised platform where the guards hang out, and not only are the guards separated by they're above this high wall, but they also have magical protection with this magic circle, this magic thing. And then I figured like the gear is shifts the room a little bit so that just one room has access to getting in and out at any given time. And then I just threw some stuff. And this is technically, like, this level is technically underground. No, this is the second level. And then I made like the entry level underneath it, which is just like storage and stuff. And there's only one way in and out. There's only one way in and out, which was this pathway right here. And then you come in and you go up to the guard tower. And then there's just locked up storage and waste disposal and stuff down here. And that's another map that I made based on a reference image, which is right there. So again, same thing. Laid it down, right? And then just made it the size of the map, and kind of quote-unquote traced over it by placing by placing, like if I lower it to the proper level, you'll see all the walls will show up. Or not. What's going on there? Oh, whatever. But there's multiple levels, so you can stack stuff properly to get some things to occlude other things and such. And so from here, I just kind of took the design of that panopticon, this panopticon prison, which was a real prison, and turned it into a fantasy version of itself. So that's when I'm using, like, I have an idea of what, or I know what I want it to be. And then sometimes it's just in my head and I end up making it from scratch. So, Ziggurat of the Mega Maiden is a really good example. I made that map in here, in Inkarnate Pro. Because with the Pro license, anything you create, you have a commercial license for. And that's when I was like, ding, because I am not a hand-drawing sort of person. I am but I can, manipulate images and stuff. So this is the map for Ziggurat of the Mega Maiden. It's the one that's actually in the adventure. In fact, it might be cut off a little bit. I can't remember if I cropped it or anything. And again, this one was super simple. What's a ziggurat look like from the top down? Well, I made a square ziggurat with the stairs going down the one side, coming out from the edges, as opposed to being set into it and having one smooth pyramid. Like I wanted like a stepped ziggurat sort of thing, because then there's a fight on each level in the adventure. And this didn't take real long at all, as a matter of fact. I think what I did was I laid down the first square and then I copied it and I just scaled it up to the next one and to the next one. Drawing, that's true. Especially if you're not very good, like me. Like I call myself graphically challenged. I'll make all the words in the world off the top of my head in super record time. A Ziggurat of the Mega Maiden, as a matter of fact, I wrote in a Friday afternoon. I think it took me 2 hours to write the whole thing. And then I was like, I need a map. And that's where I'm like, I'm not the greatest thing. I'm graphically challenged. So then the only thing that I did to give it a sense of height is I made the staircase a little wider and a little larger in each level. And it makes it look like it's three-dimensional, right? Other than that, it's all just stacked images on top of each other. Just this one little hint to draw the eye, and you're like, hey, wait a minute. And the eye fills in the information for you. Yeah, and that's how we got on this tangent, is that some of us just, we can put the adventures together, but the graphics are hard to do sometimes. This is the map for Village of Death. Yeah, that would be fun. We could even stream like collaborative storytelling. We'll get in Discord or something and pop us up on I think I even have like a talkie plate. I just started using these new templates from Stream Elements. All right. Yeah, I was just showing I have that like a talk setup. So this is the map for Village of Death, another two old guys adventure that we just made. And again, I knew what I needed, and so I made it from scratch. And again, there's a compass rose, there's a scale thing, especially if you're not going to put squares on it. Definitely give people an idea of what the scale is. Also, then when you drop this into Roll20, you're able to change the movement arrow. to fit this thing here. So you just, you know, you stretch it out and be like, this should be 50 feet and whatever it says. Then you go into the settings and you shrink or grow the grid, basically. So then you don't even have to show the grid on here, but people can drag those arrows in Roll20 to see how far things are, and it's close to accurate. Yeah, this one didn't take too long. Here's one of the really nice things about Inkarnate. We're going to make a new map. I'm going to go to... So I have folders for specific adventures and stuff that I'm working on, and then I just have maps that have no home yet. Some of that stuff does have a home. Okay, so what do I show you? Okay, so we'll just do a battle map real quick, 40 by 30. Yeah, I like hex crawls and stuff, and traveling a hex on a hex map is easy. You're like, you're in this hex, and now you're in this hex. But if you don't use hexes on the map, then that's when it becomes really important to make sure that you know the distance between things as the DM, so that you know how much travel to go from point A to point B. And I'll sometimes I'll wing it and be like, oh, it's, you know, it's a day. It depends on how much stuff I want to throw at them along the way, or how many hints I want to drop, or clues I want to drop, things like that. Okay, this is what it looks like when you start a new map. I have a copy of literally this, and I use it for stupid battle maps. You know, like on Wednesday, if you rewatch the Mischief Gold and Piracy stream, this map is used just because I didn't really have anything. There was no important landmarks or structures or anything. It just had to be a kind of open area, and I was like, this is good enough, and I just slapped it into Roll20. I was like, perfect. Okay, so you start out like this, and then the first thing to do is go to the mask, because you have these add and subtract buttons up at the top, and this determines where there's land and where there's water, and it's a really important thing to do. That's going to be land. It'll make a nice edge even. Here, we'll just make something super simple. We'll make like some... So we'll make like this weird triangular shaped pond, as it were, what it's going to be. So it'll automatically fill in with this texture when you add. And then when you subtract... it'll cut it back out. We can even just be like, oh, we'll make a river delta. River delta. That's way too straight lines. You can Control Z to undo something, which is insanely helpful. I wish OBS had a Control Z. I've screwed up so many things just by accidentally doing the wrong thing. All right. I made straight lines. There's almost never a straight line in nature, right? So we'll have these non-straight lines. Even this is kind of too straight for my... Oh yeah, and then we can all make some islands. So add, you drop it, and then the edge. So you see it's a circle tool I'm using, but it has this jagged edge around it. It's because of this feature size. So you can have it not smooth, and then you get a little more jagged. You get a little more jaggedness to it. You know, like maybe in the middle of this island there's a low point, and that's been filled in with water. And then this feature size, I really only use 2 sizes of features. I use 4, which gives a bit of a finer detail to it, right? Because it makes the edges, it makes the design on the edge smaller. Or I use like 8 or 9, which gives these large. I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see that. Which gives these larger. And then you can see that this one, actually that one's too round for me. I don't like it now. So if I go back to 8 and I turn on smoothing, oh, I have to. You can just clear the edge of something and then go back in and be like, well, I actually kind of like that island right there as it was. Meh, that's not bad. Alright, I don't like those. I like that. I like that. And then you just go in and you nitpick at things like, oh, I want it to do this right here, and for some reason it goes over here and comes back down or whatever. And so why this is really important is so you have your foreground and your background. So when you go into the brush tool, right up here it tells you if you're in foreground or background. So foreground, come here, and this is what changed. This is when I decided that I'm not going to use Photoshop anymore. I'm probably just going to use Inkarnate Pro to make maps over like Campaign Cartographer. I like Campaign Cartographer, but man, it gets hard to use sometimes, especially when you want to make something really quick. Watch how fast we're going to make this. All right, so I'm on the background, and I picked this brackish water kind of color, and I'm going to make it really big because it's only going to fill in the background, right? So then all of this is just going to be, and I always just paint a big swath because I might come by later or something and be like, hey, you know what? The water probably would have found a way to get through here, right? Like, oh, well, so I'll just cut a hole there. Because I just painted it all, it's already painted, the background is already painted the watercolor, right? And then you flip over to the foreground and you're like, oh, let's make a swamp. We're going to make a swamp. So let's find sewer water. I don't know, what's that look like? Yeah, that looks swampy to me, right? Be like, right around all around the water. Maybe the water is slightly poisonous, and so stuff near the water looks not as healthy as it does. See, now they say that's sewer water for the, but I kind of like it as, you know, like swamp. And then change it to 50% opacity and just do the edge, and you get like a faded look, right? And then if you want it to be a little darker in one area, you just click a couple times. Oh, it made something weird. I don't know what happened there. But I can just Control F until it goes away. It's going. There we go. Good enough. Right? So it gives like this more natural, faded, less of a straight line thing. I still don't like this grass. It's the default. I might even be able to change it. I don't know. I've never bothered to go look and see if I can change it. But I'm going to change outside of that to... Now, all of these colors come from, because I have all these different styles picked. The battle map, it depends. I always go into battle map because it makes a smaller map. But if I'm going to make a regional map or something... Ooh, I like this. Now this says it's swamp, right? And I'm at 50%, so I kind of like that. Yeah, see? And just get rid of that. I don't like that 5, this stuff right here. See that? Not a fan of that texture for some reason. But if it's mixed with something else, then it looks... You know, no, plants don't generally grow, unless it's grass, don't generally grow in like that, this pattern, where it just covers everything. There. Alright. So now we got this weird little swampy river delta that we just used the mask tool and the brush tool. So we're going to go into stamp. Oh look, I already have a tree. Here's what I really like. This is the point that I was getting to, is that in some of these stamps you have variable options. Oh, I just decided I know what I'm going to do with this map. That's too big. Shrink it down. So, you flip open this menu here, and you can have it it'll randomly use everything in the collection. Alright? So, we'll say this is it's a ruined town. something happened, the water changed, the water path changed, and it destroyed a town that was here. So now we're going to have town ruins. And maybe the foundations of the buildings are what helped shape the edges of... See how they just kind of fit in there sometimes? Shape the edges of where the water flowed, right? So like the water ended up destroying the village, but also the village, just from its being there, also had an effect on how the water flowed through the area. And so, and if you think about it, the places where the people would have walked, the pathways would have been a little lower than where the buildings are, right? So if water's going to rush in, it's probably going to follow those paths a little more. Yeah, the foundation slowed the erosion process. So then I'm going to put like a big, whoop, that's way too big. That's the one thing I always forget about here is it always works on the last thing you placed. So then if you want to like place something and make it bigger, you gotta place it first and then jack up the scale on it. Man, look how nice that fits. Sometimes things just kind of work out, don't they? Just kind of move it like right there. So yeah, not only did the foundations of those buildings change the erosion, but the walkways where the people would have walked, like maybe this area was the town square or the market or something, and so it was more worn than other areas of the village. All right, I gotta place something and then scale it back down. Where do I want to put that one? Like right there. Maybe put, I don't want another round building there. Here, I'll put another round building there, and then, yeah, square one here, and like here. And I always, almost always, when I make a map, there'll be things hanging off the edges. Just because it gives like a more organic look and feel, kind of. Oh, I'll put one right there. I'm going to increase the size on that one a little bit. So then it looks like the water won a little bit on this one, right? Like it destroyed that one wall, but for the most part, the foundations kind of shadowed things and kept it from destroying. Ooh, that one will fit well right there. Like, yep, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so now we got like this village that got wiped out because of climate change, or maybe upstream a dam broke or something like that. And then you just kind of fill it in. I kind of fill it in, I should say, to make it look like more of a village. Now, like I said, I always have things. I don't care if it hangs off the edge of the map. It gives me more of like an organic feel to the map. Instead of, I once submitted something to a publisher, and to a video game publisher, and they were like, the map is really square. And I was like, true, the map is really square. And in an app like this, the map is always going to be square or rectangular, because that's just how it's made. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to use that whole space. All this space up here is going to end up being like old growth forest now. So go back into the stamp tool here. I'm kind of satisfied with where that's at. And notice it, once I click that on, it just used all 6 of these stamps. And then I just decided kind of, where I wanted to put them. So you can click stuff on and off in here. The stuff that you uploaded always stays. And then you can decide like what style of map do you want. Do you want like a full-on top-down, which is what all this gives you? Ooh, what's that? Sea brain coral. I feel like there's going to be a sea brain coral growing. Are there multiple types of this thing? Oh, there's 2. Do I want lots of folds, or I'm going to go with less folds, like it's warped for some reason. It's going to be living in this ruin. Zoom in really close and then like make it massive. Oh, that's creepy. You walk into that tower and there's like this massive brain thing here. What's it got? Tentacles or vines? I bet it's got some vines. It's like a yeah. Those are a little too leafy. Sea snake. It kind of looks like a. Oh, yes, I love it. So it's got these tentacles growing out of it, right? And now, oh, that's a little too. Maybe that's a little too big. All right, but now this is where one of the great things about Inkarnate comes into play here. Is oh, it's so close. Come on, a little bigger. All right. Is that I can just drop that a layer, and now it looks like it's growing out of the brain, as opposed to if I just left it where it was. Kind of looks like it's growing through the brain, which wasn't what I was going for. I kind of want another one of these, don't I? I think I do. I gotta rotate it a little, yeah. And then, oh, right there, yeah, like it's reaching out from the center aisle and trying to look for food. Or that's what we're gonna say. We're gonna say it's looking for food. And because it's so big, I would just put it on the map probably before the players got there, as opposed to, you could take those three things and put them on a white background on another map, and then just save that and go into Photoshop and cut it out and make a transparent thing. I've done that before too, where I've, as a matter of fact, I'm going to save this as Swamped Village, we'll call it. I'll show you a map I made specifically so that I could make tokens out of it in Roll20 later. Because again, graphically challenged, can't draw worth a darn. Can't draw worth a darn. Okay, Swamped Village. I like that. I'm going to keep working on that. Not what I was planning on doing today, but you know, that's life. If I go into here, this map right here, I specifically made it so that I could cut it apart in Photoshop and use pieces of it in for Sturkararius, because there's this island. So there's it's literally just I dropped a bunch of stuff on and some textures that I'm then gonna cut up into pieces later to use as tokens, so that I can just drop into place. So I'll have a battle map that's mostly this black wasteland background here. And then I can just take these things, because I'll turn them into tokens, right? Or I'll turn them into images, PNGs with transparency, that I can just drop onto the map later and then make a battle map on the fly. Just because sometimes it's nice to have things that you can move around on the map, right? Especially like fire. Like you want fire to grow and be like a living thing and something like that. So I just took all the lava textures and made blocks of it that I would cut out into like weird shapes and drop them, you know, like, oh, a burning lava pool or whatever. That's another thing that I like about Inkarnate, is that they have some really cool stuff that I can just use on its own. I don't want to say those changes. I can just use on its own. So then in the map like this, I have those pieces that I just made from that other map. And then this is the actual map that's in Roll20. Well, not this one. This is an old version of it. That I could then move these token things around and change it based on how I'm feeling that day. Because just because you have a battle map, it doesn't mean it has to be static, right? You might feel different about the battle the day of the game or something. Like you have these ideas and then you're like, this doesn't really work, I want to change it or something like that. You just do that. You can just do that. Alright. I like this Swamped Village, but I don't really have use for it right now. But we're going to go back to that. Well, we'll go back to it because I was it was just demonstrating some things. So I'll go through a couple more menu items and then I'll go back to my regularly scheduled planning. Okay, so now I have this big crazy brain with with tentacles coming out of it. Something about me and tentacles, I don't know. All right. So the other thing about the stamp tool that's really nice is you can build. I'll build some more of this village that wasn't wiped out. Again, I'm going to go into one of these multi-patterned, one of these stamp collections, basically. Oh, that's way too big. And then we'll say that some of it managed to survive, right? Right there. Yeah, right there. And then whatever. All right, move this over here so I can see a bit more. Go back to the stamp. Just drop a little more. Okay, now this is the other cool thing about. Where do I want that? Put it up here, right there. Fine. This is the other cool thing about Inkarnate Pro is that now that I have these building outlines, I can choose what kind of roofs to put on them. I don't think in the swamp they would look like that. Well, it wasn't necessarily a swamp when it was made. I think I'm just going to give them these brown roofs. Oh, the resolution of the map. That's a good question. So I'm going to save these changes that I made, and then I'll show you what happens when you want to export the map. Right. So when you get the map to a spot and you're like, this is what I want. I'm good. I'm done. Whatever. Then what you can do is you can export it as an image. Export as image. Control P. I should have known that. Right here, you can decide how big you want it. Do you want to make like a 4K? You can make it really big, but then if you're going to put it into Roll20, sometimes it kind of bogs down. You know what happens like when you get that really big map, and then it's hard to move around and stuff. So I'll usually leave it around this size. And then it has these filters, which are super cool. So saturation, obviously how much of the color is coming out. You can fade it, which if it's going to be like a more desolate area or like to have some atmosphere or creepiness or something, I'll usually fade. Sharpness I don't use all that much. It really draws out the buildings, as you can see, and that's what it does. Is it makes this kind of contrast between the stamps and the and the background. A lot of this stuff didn't exist last year when I started using Inkarnate, and I felt like all the maps looked the same, and they did. You can always tell you're like, that's an Inkarnate map, that's Inkarnate. Now you start getting into this really cool stuff that you can do. You might not necessarily know that this was made in, just looking at it, you might not know that it was made in Inkarnate from the beginning, right? So now you can do all these cool kind of color effects where it kind of washes out the color, or it pumps up the color, or the edges get really, really sharp and stand out a whole lot more. And then you can kind of change from 2K to almost 8K how big you want this thing. So I'll do a mid-range one here. We'll do 4.6K, just so you can see. I'll open up the image. All right, so it's going to export it. Takes a little time because of all the. It's got to drop all the stamps and make the layer. Basically, it's doing all the stuff in the background that Photoshop does when you merge layers. Just going to merge them all so that you can get a single layer image out of it. And it takes a little bit of time. Obviously, the bigger you export the image, the longer it takes to bring everything out. What am I listening to? This is really cool. Bass Rebels make a bunch of playlists on Spotify and YouTube and stuff, and they let you just stream it for free. So the music that's playing in the background right now is this stuff, Still Life Ready or Not. And they just give you these hours long playlists that you can. Oh, yeah, leaving the tab makes it export slower. Yes, I knew that. It's okay. It keeps going. It just takes a little longer. But I figured I would talk about Bass Rebels. You can find them on bassrebels.co.uk. If you're looking for just like chill music to throw in the background when you're doing stuff like this on stream. Part 8. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'll be right back while it does its thing. I think the graphics card does some of the heavy lifting on the exporting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if... Oh, I suppose I could. Let me look and see what my CPU is doing right now, and then we'll know if it's exporting on our end or if they're doing a server-side export where all the image processing is being done. Chrome's currently using 2.5 gigabytes of memory and 34% of the CPU. So I want to say that the processing is probably being done on our end. Let's see, I'll see if it drops when the map is done, because the map is almost done. 2.5 gigabytes of memory. Oh, got all the way up to 40% CPU. I do have the music playing in the background as well, so that might be chunking up some of the random stuff. All right, here we go. So when it's done with this, will CPU and memory usage drop? CPU dropped to 10% there for a second. Okay, and then it just says, here's your map. Swamp Village, so I'll put it in there. And then I'll just open it in... so you can share the link, like if you want to make a map for somebody else. CPU dropped. CPU went to 12%, 10% for Chrome, and 2 gigs. So I feel like we're probably doing the heavy lifting on the image. I'm gonna pop open a new tab here real quick, and where'd I put that darn map? Oh, I put it in the streaming. There. So I just dropped it into a Chrome tab, and then that's pretty big. It's like I'm working on a 35-inch ultra wide gaming monitor. Like a curved ultra-wide gaming monitor, because my eyes were hurting from my small 22-inch when I was trying to do desktop publishing and stuff. It's taking up, get the old trusty tape measure here, right? Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge resolution. Okay, so let's see here. From tentacle tip in the lower left to tentacle tip in the upper right, it's 15 inches across on my screen. 15. It's this big, right? It's it's this big, and it looks really good. And that was only at like half. The map is so huge, you would have to cut it into pieces, I think, to use in Roll20 properly. You know what I mean? So yeah, so when I zoom out like that, it's 15.5 inches square, basically, on my screen right now. But you can see, like, how close do you want, you know? So that's why I say, like, usually around 2K, the map doesn't get so huge that it gets kind of chunky in Roll20. Yeah, you can get it. You could probably, at 8K, I bet you could print it out. I bet you could print it out and it will look really decent. Because this square building I'm looking at right now is like 2.5 inches square inside. So if we were using 5-foot blocks, you're talking 10, 25-foot square building right there. Right? Yeah, because the doorway is like, the doorway would be, I'd call it 3 feet wide. It's, you know, like 2/3 of an inch or something wide. So yeah, the maps can get really huge, and that's a pro feature, I believe. I don't think you get it in the regular. But then, you know, plus look how cool the lines look. Oh, you can. There's also, I didn't do it on this map. There's ways to make those coastal wave lines it's new or newer to me, I can't remember, in here, but there's a way to make those cool little wavy lines along the coast there. You could just add paths. Oops. You could just do something like this if you wanted, and then just change the type of line that it is. But that's not what I'm looking for. That's a useful thing if you're making a longer map. You know what I mean? If you're going to make like a regional map. I've been working mostly in like what I consider battle maps right now. But the path tool is cool if you're going to make a huge regional map, and then need like roads and things like, specifically like roads and things like that. How? I'm pretty sure there's a way to do the water movement type line things, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. You can put a grid on the map, and then you can change the size of the grid. You can change the opacity of the grid and the size of it. But I'm always going to use Roll20. So if it's going to be a map that, like a battle map, I won't put a grid on it because there's a grid system in Roll20, and you always get the map into Roll20 and then figure out the size. But you can make a hex map or an isometric. You can draw isometrics in, like I could make an isometric map, because if I go to the stamps up here, I think it's Regional Classic. Regional Classic is kind of isometric, right? So you could make sort of like an isometric map if that's the thing that you were looking to do or whatever. You just kind of line it up with the grid or whatever if you're trying to do that. There's they've done a lot of expansion of stuff. And there's different types of styles. So you could do one of these huge regional maps and just have things look like. Yeah, I agree. Battle map as a bird's eye view, because otherwise stuff gets in the way. I'll show you. I made an isometric map. All right, let me. I'll save this, and then I have like a. Not really a regional. It's not really a battle map. It's kind of in between. It's just like a section of like a camp for a series of adventures that we were working on. And oh, turn that grid off. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't have to save that. So if I go over to Tubaluk, this here. I'll do this one with the notations. I made this kind of on a isometric idea because you're mostly just passing through it. All right. And then, but it does get a little tricky when you want to like hide stuff behind or get stuff lined up properly. This was, I don't know, maybe my third or fourth map I made in Inkarnate. But you can do it. They have these cool cliffs, so I made like a dry riverbed thing that went around the camp. And then again, I always just hang stuff off the edge of the map because it doesn't, the world doesn't end at that edge. And it goes back to that whole your map is too square feedback that I once got. And so this one has a bunch of janky angles in it just to break up the... So what's happening here is the entrance gate down here. The entrance gate down here is where you enter into this country, this kind of fascist country. And so you have to go through getting your papers stamped and things, and then you basically walk through here under watchful eye of a lot of guard towers. It's supposed to be really oppressive, like this really oppressive presence that you're walking through here. And then you can go into the Camp Bazaar area if you're going to do like, it's like the duty-free zone in the airport, right? Like you don't have to pay taxes on everything you buy here at the Camp Bazaar. But then that's the only place you're supposed to go and until you go into the country of Tubaluk itself. So there's guard housing here, and there's some guard housing over here, so they can stream into the long walk in case there's trouble. Not only are there like two guys with heavy crossbows in each of the towers, but the guards are all nearby. And then there's this slave pen because it's I know the word slave triggers some people, but it's a fact of life that oppressive regimes often have basically slaves and stuff. And so this one, they decided that they're going to make money off of slavery, and so they allow the slave traders to go freely to and from the country. And on top of that, if you do something wrong in the long walk and guards start shooting at you or take you into custody, they instantly throw you in here, and they're gonna sell you for the hassle that you've caused them. So there's a bunch of really oppressive guard presence. So the gate that's really only open is this one here, and then there's watch captain, camp command, and tax. Of course, tax. Everything that you hate about a nation, right? Like there's the guards who are the military police state that's watching you, and there's taxing of everything. There's so many things. And then at the gate, at the entrance gate, when you're trying to get in, it's expected that you're going to bribe your way into the country. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get in. It's just like everything I hate about, life in general and politics and stuff wrapped up into one camp. And then from here, you enter into the country and the whole big adventure begins. But an isometric sort of view of this, because you're not doing all the money belonged to us. You're not really doing any combat in it. Yeah, and then like here's the whole of Tubaluk, which I might rework. Someone said, "Oh, you mean Ohio?" And I can see what they're saying. When the map loads, you'll see what Ohio looks like in Fantasy Realm, I suppose, if it was on the coast of an ocean. Welcome to Fantasy Ohio, everybody. Right? Like, it's kind of Ohio-ish. But there's all kinds of things. So this Adaphic Salba used to be called the God's Eye, I think is what I named it. And it was this massive inland lake. But something happened and this chasm opened and it all drained out. And this is where that camp is right here that we just saw, the disputed camp. So there's an ongoing border dispute here, over here. So then when the climate changed and this lake disappeared, it created like this this arid zone, this up here, because all of the water that was in the area drained out, except for this. It's funny. There's this thing where people are always like, rivers don't split, and it's true. Mostly rivers, water will find one channel that it wants to go down, and it won't split. So there's like a landmark reason, geographical reason why this actually splits in a couple places, and it's all part of adventuring through Tubaluk and finding out what in fact is going on. So split your rivers if you want. Who cares? It's a fantasy world. You're crying out loud. Stop being jerks to everybody. Don't be so critical of other people's maps. And yes, there's toilets in some of the buildings. There's a meme out there right now, I think on Facebook in like the RPG Maps group. Hey, Father J. Is that Father J or is that what's his name? The WWE guy wearing a shirt. Oh, it's him. Thought it was Father J in his season 3 Viva La Dungeon shirt. Cactus Jack, right? Before or after he was after he was mankind, before he was mankind. Nick Foley, right? There's a couple other things. So I really like Inkarnate is what it comes down to, because I can do all kinds of things really fast. Like here's, depending on how the party camps, I made 3 different maps, and then I just use whichever map. I just load up whichever map. You know, if they're gonna set out torches or have fire or fire and torches. It's really easy to make iterations of a single map real fast. Is what I like about it. But as you can see, it's also real easy to generate a whole map just from an idea, as well as from a reference image, like I did with this Winterfell map or Yandolk's Manor or this temple that I was working on. So it's made it really. I even built this ship from pieces. You got to become like a seasoned champion or something, and then maybe the Lich will make an emote for you, Father J. So I made this out of various pieces and turned it into a ship, and you can see like the walls are all separate pieces and stuff like that, because I want it to be different from other ships. I could have just bought an image of a ship and said, here's your ship map, right? But I wanted this one to be a little different, and so again, stacking things and resizing them just to give that idea that things are closer to you and farther away and things like that. Yeah, and so I made this from scratch out of all kinds of stamps that Inkarnate Pro gives you. Oops. I didn't want that. All right, got to get back to this promontory tower. All right, so the promontory tower. So it's on this rocky promontory, and sea waves smash up, and the salt, then the water dries, and the salt crusts the rocks and killed the vegetation. And I'm okay with it. Am I? I don't know. I gotta put some trees and stuff. It needs some trees. That's what I was gonna do with the swamped village too. I was like, what do you do with these big open areas of nothing? Well, they're boring if you don't put anything in them. Plus, if you put trees there, the party might be like, let's go check out these trees. Okay. What time of year do I want it to be? I think I'm gonna go with autumn. Should have probably decided that. So again, you turn this random stamps on, and then they say when you're building maps, and I found this to be super valuable advice, go left to right, and top to bottom. So like so we're gonna build a forest. Okay, so let's just zoom into this area where we're gonna build a forest. These trees are really big suddenly. That's what I'm saying. That's like 10 feet wide, so 10-foot canopy. Sure. So they say because you can build mountain ranges and stuff with stamps and things, but they say left to right. Oh, that's a really small tree. And they'll kind of layer over themselves. And I've noticed that since we first got the license, if you backfill every once in a while, it kind of figures out where you want it to go. But if I'm just gonna make a big forest here. Oops. Sometimes things get too big. But it's just left to right, top to bottom. It figures out, it's good at figuring out a lot of the little stuff that you would try to get done, like if you were doing Photoshop, right? You're like, what layer is this on? Do I need this to be here or there? It just does it for you. And that's what I think is some of the real power of, you know, look how fast I made that. How fast would it, how long would that take me if I was going to do like individual brushes in Photoshop? I have to pick the brush, flip to the layer, change the layer, decide, you know, how is it going to layer, things like that. But when you look at, I just dropped a whole bunch of trees in there, looks pretty good. Right, 2 to 3 times longer if you're doing it in Photoshop. And then I can be like, oh, I don't like that edge or whatever. You can always go in and grab a tree and move it. Looks weird that there's a hole there now, but I can always go backfill with some other tree. Right, and then even if I screwed up and I want to come in and make this a little bigger, it doesn't look that bad. You know, they just happen to say, especially for like mountain stuff. I'll do some mountains just to show you what it looks like. They say if you're going to make a mountain range from individual mountains, because there are some mountain range stamps too. I don't need the battle map. I need regional. Yeah. So again, 8 different stamps in a collection, and I'll show you how easy it is to just. I'm going to make a diagonal one. Boop. Suddenly the scale of this map is going to be all really weird. Like, how massive is that tower if there's like this little... Oh, I might use, as a matter of fact, I might use these, shrink them down, and use them as... Look how nice that is. You want to do it faster? You just do it faster. There we go. Look at that. Super quick and easy. I don't think you could do that in Photoshop in less than an hour, hey? And they all kind of blend together around the edges really nicely. Like it'll do some overlapping and decide like where it should be and stuff like that. So then even if you fill something in later, it doesn't... It used to look really janky, and I think they did some really great work in like getting this to look right. Oh, look, I accidentally dropped one on top of the other, and now it made like this one really big mountain right here, which is actually made from 2 different pieces. But it lined up the edges to make it look like a massive... one massive mountain there, right? So what I think I'm going to do, because remember I was talking about this salt-crusted edge here, so I'm just going to take some of these mountains and maybe make them the coast. That's the other thing that's really easy. Suddenly I can, like, I'm like, oh, I don't like that brown line as being the coast anymore. I can just hide it with other stuff. And it's still there as part of the representation of the coast, right? And then I just have to cue in on, when you look at it, like when you look at it up close, you're like, oh yeah, that's a mountain range, right? And when you just see that little bit of it, you're like, mountain range. But then when you zoom out, and if you're just gonna look at like, oh, there's trees here and a tower here, then suddenly you get your mind adjusts the scale a little bit, so you get that optical illusion, like, aha, now it's now those are coastal rocks or whatever. I'll throw some other rocks in there to kind of fool the eye and make it think that this rocky coast isn't really a bunch of mountains. And then if I don't like, I'm like, oh, get rid of those mountains. Boom, gone. And see how it blends the mountains right into the water as well? I think it does a really nice job of just taking care of a lot of stuff I don't want to do. Now we're going to get into this. The coastline is going to be underneath the tower. Will it do it automatically, or will I just have to flip a layer here and there? Let's see. Let's take this chunk of rock here. If I put it there, it's on top. So you go up to the top and you just drop it down a couple layers, right? Same thing with this one. Drop it down a couple layers. Or I could just pick the tower and bring it up to make sure. So now that the tower, the roof of the tower, and the tower itself are on level 2. So basically no matter what I put will show up on level 1 underneath it. And now I don't even have to worry about worry about the mountains when I put them in there. Oh, see, now that one is underneath that one. That's not what I want. So I can bump that one up. Or, better yet, the one below it, I can drop that one. And it gives me the peak there that I want. It's a really gloomy, rainy day here, which is why I was like, I'm going to stream some prep. See, and I'm changing the coastline a little bit, but I don't really care. Now it looks like this rocky. I could even take these and backfill a little bit. And it does a really good job, like I said, of just making them look like they belong there. You can always do a little work to line up the edges like I did there. Like on this one, I can move it and find a place where it looks a little more natural if I need to. But now it just looks like a weird rocky coast. The brain over time has done so much work in like danger, sensing potential danger and things like that, that now you can just use it for cool, fun things like, that's not a face, but it looks like a face, because seeing faces was really important at one point when we weren't the dominant predator on the planet and we had to see, a lion face or something in the grass that was going to probably try to eat us or something like that. Yeah, I think I'll just finish that all the way down the line now. So I'm kind of already going in the right direction, so I can just boop, 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 boop. And one there, done. And done. So it looks like there's little places that you can get up and down, and they look... Oh. Why are you above? Why are you above? Oh, you want to see what it looks like? There, that was hidden. Alright, and I'll finish. I gotta give myself a little... That path got erased a little bit here. So I'm gonna make it a little darker. Look like it's a little worn, make it a little lighter. And then I'm just gonna dab it. Dab, dab, dab. Foreground. Again, we're just giving the hint of a path, right? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. There we go. Huh? I suppose I could put more trees over on this side here. Oh, just go to recently used. Oh, this one's cool. I'll do this just... It makes these like sand dunes and stuff for you. There's all kinds of great stuff in here. If we're just looking at the Fantasy Regional HD collection right now, but like if you want to make a huge map real fast, this is 100% the way to go. I can't not. Assume exporting doesn't retain layer information. No, but what you could do is what I talked about before is make, right? Make the roof a token, or make it a separate thing, right? And then so you have like a PNG with just the roof, and then just lay it over in Roll20, because you can order things in Roll20, and then just swap it to the GM layer when you want to show the inside of the tower. So that's what I was going to work on next, as a matter of fact, is something like that. So let me save this. The other thing, and I've done this in Roll20, is make identical maps, one with the roof and one without, and then just when they're going to go into the tower, just delete the one with the roof on it, right? Because you have them layered, the one with the roof, the one without it. You just delete it, or yeah, toggle visibility, things like that, and then it just, you see the roof or you don't see the roof. Okay, so here's the other thing I like. I can I'm gonna highlight, I want these two things. All right, I'm gonna Control C, and then return to my maps. I'm gonna create a new map. This one will be, I'll just say a battle map. Maybe he's gonna have like wooden stairs. Muted my mic there, I see, huh? It's because I was coughing. The COVID cough. Is the music good? I cannot hear it because I have it going. Oh, I bet I could just turn on the monitor. Huh? Why didn't I think about that earlier? Silly me. I have it going to a separate output, so I installed VB cable so I can have stuff go out to the stream, but I don't hear it in my headphones. Otherwise, I'm capturing everything. And then I, obviously, like I would hear. So this way I can have music piped out to the stream and I don't have to listen to it. But I can now. I can if I want to. Oh, there is an instrumental. They do have a, if I flip back over here. Oh, that's what this one is. This is the instrumental one. They have a vocal one as well, which I think is really good. And then they have the chill gaming one. Bass Rebels. These guys is what I'm listening to. bassrebels.co.uk. And this chill gaming one is pretty good too. I was personally listening to Christmas music earlier. This is the YouTube one. So like 24/7 copyright free songs. Just play it after this fried chicken commercial. Fried chicken. Oh. But it gets a little too every once in a while, you know what I mean? I listen to like epic movie soundtracks when I'm preparing, if I'm writing or something. Oh yeah, Lindsay Sterling, I like her. She does a lot of great stuff too. Dubstep violin. Yeah, I don't know that I'm a big fan of what they're playing on this one right now. Let's see what's on the other one. Oh, this is the chill, the more chill one. Yeah, this one's not bad. Chill music, lo-fi, hip-hop, funky type stuff. Alright, I've decided I don't like these stairs. I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to build some stairs on these back walls, I think. I'm going to make straight stairs, a landing, and then another flight of straight stairs. So if we just look at stairs... There we go. Castle carpet stairs? Would he have carpet stairs? Carpet on his stairs? Yeah, I think he would. I think he's that kind of guy. All right, so then we're gonna have like they're gonna go against this wall here. I turn on my grid again so I can see if they're the right size. Oops. Control Z. Yeah, that's about the right. All right, they're gonna go there. What's the angle? It's jagged up. No, not that one. Yeah, this stuff's supposed to be a little more mellow, this music. All right, so I can Control C, Control V, because then I'm just going to make another one after that landing. There's going to be a landing up there. It's going to be a big landing, apparently. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then, uh-oh. YouTube said no. Skipping. Maybe I can just here I can just listen on Spotify. That might be a little better. Quality wise. Play. There we go. All right. Now the question is, how do I make this stair appear to be lower than this stair here? Oh, I know. On this one, I will... No. See, it has a lot of tools in it. I haven't even been using them, but it has a lot of tools that you would find in Photoshop as well. I want it to cast shadows on other things. Oh, I want this one to cast shadows on other objects as well. Okay. All right, I can change the stairs. Good, because I wasn't really digging that brown. What kind of pompous color is that? 200. He likes that one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is to make these seem lower, I'm going to drop the brightness on them, right? Yeah. Now I'm going to try to find some wooden platform to make like a landing. I think I'm going to be done here in a little while. I have some chili in the Instant Pot that's getting ready. No, I don't want roofs. It could be a stone landing. Oh yeah, I think this will work. What I'm going to do is make it a little bigger, like right there. And then what I think I'll do is this one will be above it. I need it to be, I want it to be like a straight line like that. Now it's a little too big. Right? It's all about tricking the eye sometimes, right? Like we were talking about earlier. And then when you unhighlight it, it kind of looks like, I think I can move this one up a little, and move that one up a little. A bit more of an angle. Let's see, if I put it there, it's got to be angled a little more. Yeah, I'm gonna put a railing on it. That'll fool everyone into thinking it's right. Let's see what we can find for a railing. That looks like a railing. Or, ooh, elven tree walls. Fancy, fancy. Oh yeah, this is totally what his banister would look like. This guy with his tower, his promontory tower, right? That absolutely is what his banister would look like. Now it's so small though, it doesn't do like the whole stairs, right? So you're like, oh man, what are we gonna do here? We're gonna do this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Highlight that one, copy, paste. And look, it just kind of slides it right in there, and it's so good at doing it that you almost can't find the seam, right? The seam is like right here. See where the seam would be? Right there. You can't even see it. That's one of the things that I like about Inkarnate as well, is that it intuitively does some stuff that you need done. See, now I can drop that one. I don't know. Just make it a little smaller, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like I said, it's since we started early last year, I think it was, when we started our pro account. It's a lot of stuff has really been improved. That's the other thing I like, is they're like continually working on making it better. Look, I can almost just make it work right there, right there. I'm looking at this corner right here, right? I want it to kind of be seamless. Oh, there it is. There it is. Now I'm just going to copy and paste that because it's already the right size and everything. And then I just need it to be right there. All right. I think I did this backwards. I think this one should be brighter because it's on the level with you. And this one should be darker because it's up in the recesses. Right? It's a little... Does that make sense? Either way, who cares? It doesn't matter if the stairs go this way or if the stairs go that way. Whatever. I feel like there should be a suit of armor on that landing. Don't you? Do you think there should be a suit of armor on that landing? I think this is going to be what I do on Fridays. I'm just going to... I don't know lighting well. Oh. I cannot art. We need Friendon. We need Friendon to show up and tell me if it should be that way or the other way around. Oh, even better. Like, whatever was on the... whatever was on the landing is broken. It's like shattered into pieces here. Maybe it was a sculpture, or maybe he didn't like it, but now it's busted. I want this stuff to cast shadows on other objects. Yes, we're getting there. See, it's all in the shadows. These shadows kind of give it the... They make it look like more three-dimensional, don't they? I think so. So I'm having it cast shadow on other objects as opposed to just on the layer it's on. So like, see, now that's got its like own shadows around it and stuff. Yeah, I like that way more than the original with the round stairs. I think that looks a little more logical. And then the stairs will just continue, I think, up, winding up around to the upper levels or whatever. I don't really plan on them going past this level, but now that I think about it, maybe there is some mayhem to happen in this tower with this pompous guy and his blue carpeted stairs. I don't like that green. It's that stupid green background that I don't like again. We're just going to get rid of it. The foreground, yes. What is going on? Oh, it wants me to, I know. Duh. It wants me to make a shape. That's what it's asking me. I can just do this. Opacity of 1. Oops, 1. Just had a brain fart there for a second. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. We're not so much focused on it as we are on kind of the front. I mean, kind of the tower itself. Yeah, that looks very gray. It looks very gray. That's what it looks like. All right. Looks very gray. There, that has a little more color. If I'm not happy, it's not done. That's right. That's the perfectionist DM problem. Like, no. And now it's a little green and gray. Now it's got a little color. Oh, and those blue stairs. It needs a pop. It needs like a warm color. I know. Torches. Right? Let's look at what we got for torch options here. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Torches. That's what we're missing. That's a really huge torch. Really huge torch. Put it coming off of this wall. Put one right there. Put one right there. Just give the place a little sense of life and color, right? I feel like he'd put them in all the corners of his round tower. Boy, I really don't like the guy that lives in this tower. I sure hope the PCs don't also. Okay, so I should put one, because I want... These are the stairs they're going to come up. Yes, so this is where we would see the torch. Put it like right there. It's still a really massive torch. Doesn't want them on his fancy banister. They might burn it down. I don't think that's just goblins. There's many PCs you could confuse with that same thing, I bet. Look, it's like I have 124 changes. I should probably save soon. It's right. I probably should save soon. I think we're going to save, and then we're going to call it and go... We're going to go work on that chili I got brewing in my Instant Pot. It's a really cold, I might have mentioned this earlier, it's a really cold, gloomy day here in Milwaukee, and it sounded like, it just felt like a day to make chili. Alright, now I can turn that grid off because I don't need that grid. I know what the scale is. It's a very Spartan first level of the tower, but I feel like he doesn't necessarily want people to come visit him all the time, and so he's not really gonna make them comfortable. I'll just make that. It's funny, like everything about the room is like, I don't want you to go any further in my house, right? That you open up the doors, say you come in, you walk in, and the carpet goes to there. It doesn't go to the chairs to say like, oh, please sit down, and it doesn't go to the stairs to say, please come upstairs. It says, stop there and talk to me. And he probably comes down the stairs and stands on this landing, right? And he stands here looking down on these people who have interfered in his day. I'm gonna make that a little crooked there. So he looks down on them from this landing, and he's like, there's a commercial? Go away, commercial. All right. So, yeah, he's going to, like, stand on here. Well, why are you here? Yeah. I was very busy in the midst of some research I cannot tell you about because then I would have to kill you. And then maybe, like, above the end of that, there's, like, you know, something hanging right above the edge of that ladder. And if you stand underneath it and you piss him off, it falls and kills you. But it's definitely not like a, oh, welcome to my home. It's what are you doing here? What do you want? Go away. Yeah, I think this will work for a first. And then what I'll do is I'll save this. Ah, see? New map. It's called Promontory Tower Level 1. Right? And then I can just clone. This is another one of those powerful incarnate things. You can go over here and you can clone the map and then mess it all up and make another level. right? So I don't have to worry about the walls or where the stairs are or anything like that. What I can do is just take the whole, I can group the banisters and that ledge and everything and just slide it around the edge of the outside wall to make another one. And then I'll have level 2 like done super fast. And level 2 will probably be like, I don't know, his dining area, right? So it'd be like the unwelcoming room, and then like if he likes you, you go up to the dining room, and that's where the kitchen and the dining is. And then his sleeping quarters and stuff would be above that. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, cool. How long have I been at this? 2.5 hours. Well, we made a couple maps, right? Let's see what we got done in 2.5 hours. My stomach's starting to rumble too. Like, you should eat something, dummy. You're still sick. Oh, we got kind of 3 maps done, and we got we got 3 maps started. We'll say started. This one, I think that one's done. And then we talked a whole bunch about Inkarnate and stuff like that. So yeah. So they're gonna come up to this promontory tower as soon as the map loads. Right, they're coming up this road. And then that's the tower and this salt-crusted cliffside. And then they're going to go into the unwelcoming room. That's what I'm going to call it, the unwelcoming room. Where he well, I have guests, but I didn't invite you here. What do you want? Kind of. But something's going to happen out here, I think, before they even get to it, just to make the travel a little more interesting. I think that's what's going to happen. All right. That's fun. Thanks for hanging out. We should definitely do something collaborative. Get both of us on a stream, have like a notepad in the middle, maybe get some input from some audience members on like things to throw into it and stuff like that, and then see how it goes from there. I think that'd be fun. I can even like do some Inkarnate mapping at the same time that we're, story building or whatever. Like, oh, that'd be a good place for a map. Let's build a map for that and stuff like that. And we could do that. Or we could do like a 2-stream thing. Have you seen that? Where 2 people are streaming together? Dion knows how to do it. He did it with Folsham and a couple other people, I think. And I think that would be cool too. Have both streams going at the same time. Something like that. All right. I feel like my stomach is rumbling so loud you can hear it on the microphone. I should move the microphone away. I'm like, nope, don't. All right, I'm going to go finish this chili and I'm going to get something to eat. And then I think I'm going to stream some Star Wars Squadrons or something later with some friends if I can get some friends together. Or maybe Among Us, I don't know. Or maybe both, who knows. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Let's definitely chat about the collaborative thing. And if you are looking for mapping software, Inkarnate is not paying me to say this, but I really do. I am very impressed with their program. Over time, I can map so much faster than like Campaign Cartographer, things like that. Probably because I haven't put enough time into Campaign Cartographer, but I put almost no time into this one, and I can generate maps like crazy. As you can see, there's all kinds of maps. 13 maps there, and a whole bunch of other maps for some other stuff. We got some stuff in the works that still sorting out, and some maps that I made that I now don't use, so I haven't used. So, all right, thanks. Have a good night, everybody. Chat soon. Something like that. I'm going to put an end plate on. Why not? Studio mode, go to this one. Thanks for watching.